I started Jobs hired me at Apple in August of 2000. And about 60 days later, I went into Steve and Tim Cook, and I said, K-12 is not about low-cost desktops, which is what they've been focused on prior to me there. We need to do something different. We need to do something that I'd like to call the one-to-one program, which would be a reformation around the teacher, a renaissance in the classroom, full one-to-one wireless laptop computing, full digital curriculum for all the kids, and to crush the digital divide. And so Steve loved it. We built the iBook. We went out, we did Maine, we did Michigan TTSI, we did Enrico the one-to-one, we did the state of Maine one-to-one. Negroponte picked up on it, decided one laptop for every child around the world. So we got a lot of traction out of that, okay? So I was at a special ed company called Spectrum K-12. We were doing IEPs. We moved to RTI because we were interested in doing the same thing that we were trying to do at Apple, which is really tell you what worked and what didn't by piece of content, by child, by teacher, by day. So you could make academic decisions as a teacher in the moment, a principal in the moment, an administrator in the moment, or a state level in the moment. Because you don't have a system today in the classroom. What you've got today is technology getting in the way of the promise of technology. And that's been a bugaboo of mine for 15 years, okay? So everything we're doing is to try to deliver the promise of technology without getting in the way. So ClassFlow, there will never be a manual for ClassFlow. A teacher will never pay for ClassFlow. It is free, and it is going to be free in every language around the planet, okay? The principal that wants the information out of the 75 classrooms they got, we're going to ask for some money. That's going to be our monetization model, and we're really driving to have a community of teachers that's larger than anybody in the world. Now, why are we doing this? One word: engagement, okay? If you look at all the different, and I'm not an educator, I'm just a tech guy, okay? But if you look at all the things that you can do, the interventions you can do to improve performance, what's number one? Motivation. What's number two? Feedback. All right? So we are focused on feedback, which drives motivation and drives engagement. That's it. Okay? So if we get off the mark and we're not on that, tell us. It's not about boards, it's not about panels. I don't care if you ever buy another board or panel in your life, okay? And frankly, if I can come up with a magic hologram that's $5 and gets rid of all that stuff, we'll do it, okay? But today, we got what we got, and ClassFlow is the glue. So I've taken ClassFlow to Governor Branstad in Iowa. Governor Branstad, when he was retired after his fourth term, was on the team at Apple, one of our staff of 4 or 5 governors who were helping advise us on what we were doing. When he saw ClassFlow 15 months ago, this is what we needed for the one-to-ones. This is the glue. So if you're rolling out tablets today, or rolling out laptops today, or letting kids bring their own devices, and you're the principal, and you rolled them out Monday morning, room 305 on Friday, do you know what happened that week? Not unless you walk down there. That's one of the problems that ClassFlow addresses. So you can make academic decisions in the moment with real-time data that's actionable, okay? ClassFlow we're rolling out in Miami, a big system, 330,000 kids, 35,000 teachers, going like wildfire. When they fully deploy, when they're fully ramped up, the amount of questions that they will deliver is mind-boggling. It's 2 billion a year. The little handhelds from Promethean, if we'd had a platform like ClassFlow 10 years ago, we have 5.8 million of those handhelds, 1.3 million whiteboards in classrooms. We have the timestamp of the data, we have the student ID, we have the teacher ID, we have the question, the efficacy and latency of the questions, okay? If we had had the foresight to collect that stuff in a software platform like ClassFlow 10 years ago, how many questions do you think would have been generated and captured? We ran the numbers. It's right at $500 billion. Now, 90% of those would not be actionable kinds of stuff, okay? But what you have to do is you have to have that large body of data at the building level and above building level to be able to see what patterns you're getting or what things are popping out at you. Like, I've got a problem with this particular intervention, or I got a problem with fifth grade fractions with these particular 3 concepts, okay? Right down to that level, because we track ClassFlow right down to the concept and question level, right? And so that's really all ClassFlow is about. Now there's 3 new things that are coming with ClassFlow, all right? Free for the teacher, but there's something called ClassFlow Desktop. which I think you guys are familiar with, right? And that toolbar we call the missing link, and we got that idea from a couple systems we talked to 18 months ago. And we had a little bit of the chicken and the egg syndrome. So I get this great product called ClassFlow, but how do I do my lessons? Chicken and egg, content, process tool, you know, how do I get the lessons up there? Well, the first way to picture an inverted pyramid, upside down. The teacher can go in, create a lesson with ClassFlow, just build it. It's easy, it's on the fly, but that's the base of the pyramid. That's for the teachers that want to go create a lesson, all right? If I take it up a step, a year and a half ago, we had plugins for Microsoft, Adobe, PowerPoint, Promethean Inspire, Smart Notebook, okay? So if I'd already done a lesson in whatever of those formats, PowerPoint or whatever, I just hit one click and that whole lesson's brought in. I can go search the communities, the Notebook community or the Inspire community, and I can find a 5th grade math lesson on fractions, and I can look at it and say, download that. Parse it apart, put it in ClassFlow. I can swipe it, grab it, make it better, and call it my own, and then repub it, okay? That's the second layer. What we were missing was the bigger piece, okay? The primary reason ClassFlow Desktop has that toolbar, picture that's a floating toolbar over whatever content you as the teacher choose to show. McGraw-Hill, Pearson, HMH Go Math, Reasons, whatever it is, okay? Homegrown, snapshot of the web. By touching it with a click or two, that is now swiped into ClassFlow, and I can distribute it, annotate on it, and it's the second I've touched it and brought it in, I now longitudinally track everything I do with ClassFlow, including that. So that was the missing piece that we conceptualized, and our engineering guys figured out a really sharp way to do it, which we hope is good feedback from you guys on how we're doing it. So that's one piece. Another thing we've got is what folks are calling the wireless sphere around, the wireless teacher, this guy. Have any of you seen this yet? Okay. This makes it seamless. So I can be walking down the hall as a teacher, and before I've entered the room, I've sent out the first poll to my kids as I walk through the door. I go, all right guys, you got your question on your devices, answer it. Before I've even walked in the room, okay? So to give you an example, this is not an education example, but I was in the Airbus factory in Toulouse about 8 weeks ago with a test device of this. On the floor where they're building the A350s, big factory, okay? And I walked out of the room, 150 feet down the hall, 100 feet on the scaffold, in the A50, and I held the phone up and I grabbed the green wire, and they're seeing it on the board 300 feet away. And they go, no, the red wire, do that. So I can hold this over the child's work, and I can say, everybody up at the front, look at that. Billy's doing the volcano the right way, and I can annotate on it, etc. So what we're trying to do with ClassFlow Connect is create a wireless bubble around the students in that class, and the kids don't have to be in the room. Okay? So with this device, I hate cables. If I went into a fit 2 years ago, if I see another GD cable the rest of my life, I'm gonna have an aneurysm and skip rope with it till I kill myself, okay? I don't wanna see cables. This box hangs on the back of the wall, and that's it. You will never attach to another board of any type with your computer ever again. Never have to worry about the dongle. Do I have the right firmware? Blah, blah, blah. That's all gone, okay? All I do is AirPlay in or AirPair it in, and I'm connected. Okay, so give me something up there with some Greek letters or whatever. So when she does that, I get a little AirPlay thing up here, and so I, as the assistant teacher, co-teacher, can join in. Just put my little code in. So hold up some of your work that I can show to the class. Hold up something. All right. So go make an annotation on it. You know, you can go draw something on it. I can annotate right on live work as you're doing it. Okay. And I can be in. All I have to be is in range. I can be down in the library. Okay, I could actually go out and pull a blade of grass and show them chlorophyll under this. There's chlorophyll, kids, right? And they could be back in the room. So you can have some fun stuff with this. So some other fun stuff that we like to show, and I'm just kind of giving you a talk session here. So, and we got volume on this thing, right? Go ahead and erase your characters. So, yeah, okay. So I've got a Greek translator. So I already typed in, it's great to be back in New Orleans. So I can say, okay, kids, look at the Greek alphabets over here. How many of you knew that they actually had different letters for our different letters? There's a Greek alphabet and a Roman alphabet, blah, blah, blah. You have that conversation. All right, I got a little free Greek translator over here. There's how you'd say, it's great to be back here in New Orleans in Greek. You know, blah, blah, blah. I can speak a little bit of Greek, but not enough of that.
I like Greek yogurt.
Okay, so a question mark translated as a semicolon in Greek, oddly enough. Okay, how do you say that in Greek, kids? All right, kids, who can say that? So I can do that. I have an Arabic translator. I can go into Arabic. You can do whatever you want. Spanish, French. Just bringing the application alive on the screen. The kids can see it. You can have another kid join in and do theirs on there. So it'll mirror up to 24. Realistically, you can get 7 or 8 before it gets too chaotic and control and bandwidth. Okay. So let's do a little live music from Athens. So this is FM 102.7 live from Athens. Free internet, in-tune radio. So you say, all right, kids, this is what they're playing in Greece. So you can do kind of an immersive thing, right? I can do animal sounds, tiger sounds. I can show them pictures of India, stuff like that, bringing this stuff alive. Even an animal sound on the board, okay, from here, okay? Here's the calculator, kids, all right? How about, where are we? Where's north? And I love, yeah. All right, where's north? Okay, north is that way, guys, okay? And one of my favorite, Star Rover. These are all free. Where are the constellations today here in Orleans Parish? Okay, it's daylight out, but those are where the stars are. Okay, what about the South Pole? What am I looking at down there? Okay, so we're bringing these apps out of their box, putting them into the wireless teacher environment for what? Engagement, motivation, feedback. The kids will go wild, okay? The content is flowing through that whole wireless sphere of interactivity that you're creating. It takes it the next level. It's immersive, okay? And it's using all your stuff. We don't provide any stuff, it's your stuff. And so you can either touch it with the ClassFlow toolbar, hit a one-click and it's in it from an Inspire lesson, hit one-click, it's in Notebook. We read Notebook files in Smart just as easy as Promethean, so you have both communities you can access with a single click.
Mr. Marsh, I can ask a question.
Anytime, please.
Now, I'm looking at all of this. I'm an instruction coach, math and science. In terms, I know this is new, but where have you placed it before you see an increase?
Okay. All right, so we had, is all brand new. The first answer is we're looking for early adopters. ClassFlow's out. We're at 3.5 level of ClassFlow. There's 340,000 teachers using ClassFlow around the world today in multiple languages. All of the feedback we've been getting from that teacher community that's all been building by word of mouth has been through like a Google kind of viral thing, and we're making product drops like every 2 or 3 weeks, which you've probably noticed, okay? We just, with our new investors and owners, we just moved the engineering schedule in an entire year. So 4.0 is out 6 months early, 4.5 is out 6 months early, and 5.0. So we are done with 5.0. We're in a panic because we don't know what 6.0 is supposed to look like. We didn't think we were going to worry about that till next summer. Now we got to worry about it now. Okay, so we are looking for early adopters of the ClassFlow Connect. A large surface I haven't even yet talked about. We'll talk about that in a minute. But to go back, so I will give you the Bahamas testimony. So, and I had never heard of this. So, has anybody ever heard of CCEM? Okay, I hadn't either till 18 months ago. Spent part of my time growing up in the Bahamas, went down, saw the new Prime Minister and the new Minister of Ed when he got elected in, and we hit it off. So they became a ClassFlow early adopter. They started their ClassFlow project back around January and had been rolling it out to Cat Island, Long Island, and Eleuthera, okay? Why was I so interested in the Bahamas? Besides living there? You think, what do they got? Network bandwidth problems? Oh yeah. They got islands they don't have plane flights they go to. okay? They got one-room schoolhouses with 14 kids and one teacher. How are you going to deliver physics to the 14-year-old when you got 700 islands, 30 of them major inhabitants, and how many physics teachers do you have in the whole country? 2, and 1 retired. And I have 55,000 students and 2,200 faculty, teachers, okay? So they started rolling out the project. CCM is a every 3-year global meeting of all the ministers of education from all the British Commonwealth countries, representing 2.4 billion people on the planet. And so they asked the Bahamas, 6 months into the project, we had a 2-hour breakout that they gave on their project. They highlighted it, and they asked, at the end of they gave a bunch of accolades. I won't go through all that. They asked the $64 question. Have you noticed anything so far? And frankly, I didn't know what they were going to answer. I was sitting in the audience. It looks like the United Nations meeting with 58 countries and flags up, and not supposed to be in there. I can't take pictures. And the minister came up, the deputy minister came up and said, yes, hits the podium, increased attendance, decreased discipline, increased morale, scores have picked up. We have a whole new program on coding that was created in 60 days because the kids are software coding. These are 16 and 15-year-old middle school and high schoolers, and and we're running it everywhere now. So that was June 26th. So, but we're in the stage of, we're looking for early believers, early adopters like you guys. So how can we help you advance it down? How can we help you improve engagement, help with motivation, improve scores, and get you waving a flag going? We love it. So the last piece I'll just describe to you, a 13-foot active wall that doesn't need a wall. You get a little laser unit and a boom, okay? If you want to see it real quick, I'll show you one picture of it. There's the version that's 13 feet. There's the version that we give you a fiberglass wall that's dry erase, okay? 16 touches, 4 intelligent pens, soft configurable by the teacher to 1, 2, or 3, or 4 subsurfaces, each with 4 pens when it's 4, each with 4 touches and 1 pen. So your work groups. Reading group 1, reading group 2, reading group 3, reading group 4. ClassFlow tracks a student as an individual, tracks a student as in their work groups, and tracks them as the whole class. So we track all 3 modalities. Now, that's out right now. We're shipping those in October, okay? Same price as the flat panel, twice the size. Let me see if I get the other one here. Okay. This is the version that will be out next quarter, so I'll tell you that. Doesn't need a board. You can see the little thing right there? This little unit at the top, this is the entire system that gives you 16 touches, 4 pens. That's it. You can mount it right under the projector you got today or put in an HD projector. This is an HD solid state projector. No bulbs, no fans, no loss in luminosity, HD 1080p. This is a $45 Quartet whiteboard that is mounted on. If you don't want that, we'll ship you a can of dry erase paint and a black marker and just highlight where you put the dry erase paint and you're done. Again, soft differentiable into the 4 surfaces. That's next quarter. Yep, whatever you want. That's right. This breaks. This breaks, Dale. Right. That's right. So you could actually downsize this. What I want to do, all right, now we're talking futures wish list. Now this is not real. This is not real yet, okay? There'll be a little dial here. There'll be a little dial here. Zzz, zzz. Yep. Because Miami wants to put it in a 6-foot space, a 10-foot space, a 12-foot space. Just change the dial and change where you paint the dry erase paint. So why we're doing that? So you can get team-based collaboration. What if you put one in the front of the class? What if you put one in the back of the class? Where's the teacher going to go when the teacher says, go to your work groups? The middle. The kids are all stood up in 8 teams. You do an intervention with team 5 in the back of the room, an intervention with team 3 in the front of the room. We need help. So we put the active wall, we have 40 of them out there right now for several months. One of the first things I saw at Mountain Park Elementary in Roswell, math races. 4 kids go up, winner stays up, 3 goes down, bam, 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 and they got that thing flying. Yeah, yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that we need to hear.
Technology has made teaching easier for the students because the students can now collaborate along with the teacher, and I don't have to teach in isolation. If I'm working on something like using my Promethean board, we can all make sure that we're on the same page at the same time and to fix our mistakes together and to make sure. And it also makes it more enjoyable if you can see what you're doing rather than just looking at a plain piece of paper. It makes the learning that much more interesting.
What types of improvements to your lessons has this done? Is there some that you couldn't teach without it?
Yes, for example, when I have to use maps in my classroom instead of just focusing on a wall map, and if I want to use an interactive map where the kids can touch it and actually use it and experience it, I can do that with my Promethean board, where if I didn't have it before, it was just on the paper or maybe one map on a wall, and it really was ineffective because I couldn't tell if everybody got it or if everybody was aware. The students really like to use the Promethean board. They're actually the digital natives, so they actually figure out a lot. They know a lot about using the board before even being taught how to use the board, because they already have experience with using a stylus. You know, they already have experience with using touch screens from their cell phones, so it's really easy, and they like to do that, what I see, because they live in a digital age. This is the way that they prefer to learn, and this is natural for them to learn using these tools.
How often do you use your Promethean board in your lesson plans?
Every day, every single day. I'm so happy to have a touchscreen interactive Promethean board. It really has made me use a lot less paper. It's made it a lot easier for me to store and pick up where I left off by being able to screenshot and capture exactly the last thing we did in class before the bell rings and pick up where we left off. And also allows me to stay connected to my students. Say if I'm not in the classroom, if I'm not there, I can pull up my lesson and they can still do what they need to do without me being there. So it definitely has made teaching a lot more effective.
Woody, what you turn in for your exit. So what's taken out of here?
And tell me how you use technology on a daily basis in your lesson plans.
Well, for the most part, much of my instruction is covered using PowerPoints, which these days we're converting to flip charts. I also use Quizdom for assessment, as well as Jeopardy games, though we haven't had time to do much of the fun stuff this year.
What type of difference has being able to use this technology made in connecting with the students and their results?
Oh, it's been huge. I found that as soon as I incorporated free rice using our touchscreen board as part of the Do Now, they were more engaged in improving their vocabulary, which is great. It's a lot more fun than having them just write things down on paper. And for immediate feedback for a test, having that grade as soon as they take the test really encourages them to study the next time around. So I find it's more of a motivation.
Are there some lessons that you couldn't teach or that are easier now that you have this technology available?
Well, I guess I'm more of a 21st century teacher. Like most of the time I've had all of this technology, the Promethean board at the old building, which never really worked with the pen, so I'm really happy to have this one, as well as the projector, you know, and all of that. So all of these tools, the computers, all of that, I just wonder how older teachers did it before all of these great tools we have now. Like they must have really had to work to make it happen. And with the technology, I find that the students are more engaged the more I allow them to use it. As soon as I say pull out the cell phone, faces light up and they're more attentive.
How does technology help you learn in AP Calculus?
It makes learning more active. It's more hands-on and visual.
How has technology changed the way that you have your classes? Like what's different from before you had ClassFlow and now?
It's less book work and we understand more because we're able to see stuff on the board instead of flipping pages. It makes you want to come to class. It makes you excited to learn.
Tell me, in what ways has technology changed the way you teach?
The biggest thing for the English classroom is annotation for when we read text. The technology with Promethean board allows us to do that interactively as a whole class. and to see where people add their own thing and where people do some crazy stuff as well. But it's an overall learning experience for the entire class.
In what ways has this impacted your students the most? Have you seen differences in their test results, how they learn?
Our books are online, and the biggest thing for this is that they get to see and interact with their online textbook, and they can do the assessments with this technology, and that is just further practice for them.
And tell me, is there a lesson that you maybe couldn't teach before, or that is so much easier to teach now that you have this technology?
Yeah, it's the annotation, taking notes, looking up words, seeing pictures, all of that helps with the student visualizing the text in their mind. They're able to do that, and I was not able to do that just on my own, right? So it helps that they have that, and it develops the online literacy.
How difficult is it to incorporate and learn this technology for you and also for your students?
So far, it's pretty easy. Obviously, learning still as we go, but with the students' help, actually, they're pretty good and they're pretty intuitive about it. It makes me feel old because I have to ask my kids how to do certain stuff. But it's good. Yeah, we just figure it out.
How has technology made calculus better for you?
It allowed us to work more faster and efficient and understand the work better.
And how has it changed the way that you interact with your teachers and other classmates?
It allowed to work with her instead of her being on the board by herself.
How has technology made a difference in your classroom?
Well, the first way is that I have an opportunity to have a second teacher in the classroom, and that is how I see technology when it's used effectively. It is a source to be able to teach as well as remediate and strengthen skills of students who might be struggling learners or kids who simply need to be challenged in a different way. So I have seen it as showing leaps and bounds with my kids. Great success. And Promethean specifically allows such engagement with the students. I mean, it's really student-centered, and it really puts them at the center of education and allowing me to basically facilitate. The lessons are very interactive. They're scaffolded in terms of the depth as well as the rigor. So it's really met the needs of what I felt like was very important in order to see my kids successful.
What types of challenges did you face incorporating it into your lesson plan?
The challenges mainly have been just operational. That's been the main challenge, right? I mean, because it's a lot, it's dense, it's a lot of information. And so teachers already have a lot on their plate. And so making sure that you're using it effectively, aligned with Common Core standards and the ELA guidebook, probably that. I mean, it's the nuts and bolts, it's the how-to. But in terms of the lessons, in terms of the ability to be able to really navigate what could be specific and individualized for instruction and things that are rigorous enough to keep us aligned with Common Core standards, that's been phenomenal. That's been the easy part. It's the operation that has been a little bit of a challenge.
And what would you say is the biggest reward of using it in your lesson plan?
The students, seeing them get it. Okay, I got it, right? I mean, seeing their level of enthusiasm. I think when kids can actually be a part of their own learning, you're always going to generate excitement, and you're going to see them get it, and they're using those higher order thinking skills. And then it's just the engagement piece. I mean, it's audio, right? It's visual, it's kinesthetic. It's all of the things that we know are necessary in order to tap into every aspect of learning. So that makes it exciting. I mean, I love it when my kids are high-fiving each other and they're encouraging each other. And when they see that they've been working on a skill for a long period of time and they finally get it, it's that is the reward.
Using the board is sometimes when you be working out problems, sometimes it actually helps you a little bit.
How does it help you?
If you need help and you need to solve a problem, all you need to do is just write it on the board, and then when you get your answer, it's going to be right.
Okay. What do you like better? Do you like it better like this, or do you like just pen and paper?
It helps me learn because when we do on a board, our teacher helps us with the board. She uses the board to help us.
Tevye, how has technology and ClassFlow affected the way you teach?
Technology has kind of hit not only easier for my students, but easier for me. It helps me plan. I can digitally send stuff, save things on Google Drive, but mainly it affects my students the most in that I can hit a variety of different learners. Visual learners, I can send them more resources on that they can look on their own. I can just hit a large range of every type of learner to try to meet all my students' needs the best I can. ClassFlow really helps me do that because I can quick assess on the fly and just see which students might need a little bit help with whatever I'm teaching, and not only that, but I can share it easily with all my fellow teachers, and so as a campus we can rock it all together. So
are there some lessons that you were maybe unable to teach before the technology was incorporated that you can now?
I feel that everyone obviously had the old school paper days, and math is typically on paper, but I think what people don't realize is that sometimes technology motivates students. And so if rather than solving this equation on paper and you start to see the yawns, if I have them solve it on a whiteboard or on ClassFlow where they can send it to students to grade, it's a little bit more motivating. So it might not change what I teach, but it definitely helps motivation, and that's what you need every day to teach middle school. So.
How has this new technology affected the way you learn, and what's your favorite part?
I like it better than paper because it's like on our electronics, so I think that makes it more fun. And then Miss Tubes can see everything that we're doing on there instead of like looking through all the papers. She can see what question we gets wrong and what question we gets right. So I think that helps her see like what we need help in, so she can help us more in the classroom.
And was it hard for you to learn how to use it?
No, it's pretty easy to learn. Like she can kind of control it from what she has, so whatever she needs us to see, we can see on our iPads, and so it's easier to use, I think.
How has ClassFlow impacted the way that you teach?
ClassFlow has changed the way I deliver my lessons, as well as my students are fully engaged. I can see accurately who's participating, who knows what. It allows really good interface between me and my students. I can see and correct students who need it on the spot, as opposed to waiting to do some type of formative check, which we can embed into ClassFlow and use as we go. So it's really good. We can do stuff on the fly. If a question comes up that we need to ask the students, like right away we didn't think of ahead of time, we could ask and we can get the answers, and we can see who knows what instantaneously. So far, it's had a positive impact on them because, as I said, I'm able to find out who is having difficulties, and I'm able to address those students right then and there as a whole class, as well as provide information that is specialized to that student quickly, as opposed to having to wait a day or two for stuff. Or even when it's time, when I'm doing an assessment, I can see and assess them and make necessary changes in my lesson at the same time to address all of my students.
And is it difficult to get the students involved with the lesson?
ClassFlow is relatively easy. The hard part is on the teacher end when you're preparing for the lesson, but after that it's relatively easy for the students. Basically, they just log in and it's a go from there.
And what type of resources are available on the teacher end?
On the teacher end, ClassFlow has tons of lessons that are available. They also have people, you can ask questions online and the answers come fairly quickly, and they are very helpful.
We're using a lot more technology, and it's kind of helping me develop. Like, when I get older, I'll be able to know more things on technology and be able to, like, be compatible with it.
What's your favorite thing to learn using ClassFlow?
I like learning about, like, analyzing text and stuff like that.
How has ClassFlow impacted the way that you are able to teach your students?
ClassFlow has been an awesome tool, especially in math, where students are able to give each other descriptive feedback. We're able to take students' answers, send them to the whole class. and then really take apart their answers and figure out what they could have done better, where they went wrong. And it's really gotten the students to start thinking as they're working out their problems, you know, well, wait, somebody's going to look at my answers and give me feedback. I want to make sure I do the best I can. So they've really, it's really motivated them to do better, which to me is just fabulous.
And what is your favorite part about using this system?
I love the creative poll, because instead of me telling them you have to give me your answer this way, they can give it to me in a multitude of ways. They can send me a picture, they can write it with their pen, they can type it for me. So it gives them more creativity, which I think is awesome, and they really enjoy it. It is a fabulous tool. We enjoy using it, and I'm so excited that we have it.
And tell me, how has ClassFlow changed the way that you learn?
It's easier to use because you can see other people's answers and see like what you can fix or how you can fix other people's answers and help each other out.
I absolutely have enjoyed using ClassFlow. It truly has taken my class to the next step, so next level.